Hey fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the grayscale trusts as well as the markets and potential rate cuts. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so there was some news, and again, I'm not going to pull up the news article here. You guys can look at it, but there was some news apparently that certain items will be exempt from tariffs, like electronics and semiconductors and things like that. So that could actually be some good news for the market. That's going to send the markets higher next week. And of course, we would get this news on the weekend when the markets are not open, right? Isn't that always the case? Okay, so the most important thing I want to talk about here before we get into the grayscale trusts is actually the rate cuts. So here's the deal. I told you guys before, likely, and I can't remember exactly how long ago it's been since I've said this, but I said that we weren't likely going to get the next phase of the bull run in crypto until we get continued rate cuts. Okay. Preferably rate cuts down to zero or as close to humanly possible. And as soon as the market started sniffing those out, we were going to start rising up in price. That appears to be what's happening here on Bitcoin. You can see it looks like we may potentially be breaking this trend line to the upside. Obviously, want to see continuation here. But once we get above that level, like I told you guys before, as soon as we get a trend line close above, currently sitting in roughly about 97,000, that should pretty much be it. I mean, the next level to get above after that is 108,000. But I'm thinking once we get above this trend line here, this kind of higher level one, that should pretty much be it. We should be pushing all-time highs at that point. So now, as for the alt season, obviously money has to roll out of Bitcoin from Bitcoin into altcoins, which means Bitcoin needs to have another massive leg up. We need to get seriously overbought on Bitcoin, and then money will flow out into altcoins. That's what I'm expecting. So, and it's not just the rate cuts don't just apply to Bitcoin and altcoins. It applies to the grayscale trust or anything else in crypto too. All right. So it appears that there is an even higher probability now that we're potentially going to see a rate cut next month. Whether we do or not remains to be seen, but the markets are convinced that there is guaranteed going to be one in June and July. And it looks like maybe another one in September. And let's see, what have we got here? 350 to 375. And then, nope, no rate cut in October. And then potentially possibly another one in December. So they're still thinking 4 rate cuts this year. My assumption here is that the game plan by the Trump administration is to, quote unquote, again, this is my opinion, behind closed doors secretively to try to set up some kind of situation where they can essentially get the rates down because inflation's under control. So I think that the whole tariff thing was not just about bringing money into the United States. I think there was a deeper layer to this, and that is that they're trying to force inflation down. The market's dumping retail sentiment or consumer sentiment going through the floor. Bond yields dropping, the dollar dropping, trying to get all these countries to start basically capitulating to the United States. I think the grander plan here is to try to get to a point where inflation is fully under control, which you guys can see. We saw a pretty big drop this last month. That way the Fed can go ahead and expedite the rate cuts. I think that's really what's going on. So it's kind of a multi-layered strategy here that I'm seeing. So that's pretty much it for that. Now, in terms of the portfolio, so the positions that we were, and we'll go deeper into this tomorrow when we do the weekly video, but the 12 dividend positions we're looking at for now: GPIC, GPIX, JEPQ, Triple QI, IWMY, or IWMI, sorry, SCHD, ACP, PDI, BSTZ, XDTE, AIPI, and SPYT. Pretty much all of them are oversold at this point, and the 2 positions that we intend to do options on, which is TSLL and Soxel, you guys know we have those. Those are also massively oversold. So we're going to have to think about which one we want to start buying on Monday. We're still buying Soxel and TSLL, so it's hard to say which one we're going to buy on Monday, but we pretty much have record cash to be able to do this right now, and to also hedge against potential further downside in case that does happen. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. The market swings right now are extremely wild, so we want to kind of be a little bit more strategic here. All right, so let's go ahead and cover the grayscale trusts. Just so you guys know ahead of time, we did get rid of, I think it was NVDY, OARC, and APLY out of the M1 Finance account, so we'll go over that later. But like I said before, again, we're trying to restructure the entire portfolio. So LTCN, we're still in this downward channel. Again, the target for the channel is the top of the channel. In this case, it's a bullish pattern. So that would be up there at roughly about 24. The bottom of the channel could be right around the level you might want to look at buying. So 525, kind of down to that level, this line down here at 490. Not financial advice. I'm just telling you guys the biggest support zones here. So the target would be all the way up at 55. I do still think we get another leg of the bull run this year in crypto. It's just a question of how long it's going to take. So 1,050. And, how much pressure is the Fed going to have to go under before eventually they buckle and say, okay, we'll cut rates, because everything is falling apart. If that's what it takes to get them to cut rates, well, so be it. I'm certainly not condoning that, the Trump administration tried to absolutely nuke everything in existence to get them to cut rates. But, if that's what it takes, well, so be it. We've kind of seen the effects of that the last couple of months. So support here, 245 to 285 here for BCHG. Target still all the way up at 24. Again, once we do start getting the QE money printing, all that kind of stuff, I suspect these are probably going to go much higher than these swing levels. So 905% gain here. HZEN, I don't really like this. That's a shooting star candle, very bearish. I'd be looking for best case scenario, maybe 140 here for a pick me up. Target all the way up at 10.25. You guys are probably wondering what the next level below that is. I'll take a look at that in a second. So 635%. I would say the probably next level I'd be looking at on this one is going to be just above this green box right here, right around there, right around 98 cents to $1. Again, we kind of have some support, some resistance. You see it's kind of heavily traded in that area. So that would be the next level below that. ETCG, roughly about 580 here, pretty much where that wick is. And then the target all the way up at 20 for about 250% gain. Next level here, ETHE. So there was a gap down that is eventually going to need to be filled at some point. You can see the gaps do always get filled, right? So we had one here. Where did it get filled? Got filled right here. One here. Got filled. Basically, the gap up filled the gap down, and then we filled the gap up with a push down in price. So it's pretty common that these things get filled. So eventually it's going to get filled. 14 to 1470 here. So the entire buy range here between 10.25 to about 1580-ish. Target I'm still looking up is all the way up there at 72 for about 615% gain. GBAT. Okay, so nice little wick right off the top of this box here. I'm still looking at 115 as the potential hold level to hold here. Obviously, we got a red candle cracking that white line there. So 32 is the target all the way up here at the all-time highs. I mean, that's a pretty good gain. That's a 32x, so 2,800% here. Obviously, I guess I'm preaching to the choir here when I say never invest more than you can afford to lose, and always. I don't think these particular markets are ideal for hyper concentration. Typically speaking, the better market, in my opinion, for hyper concentration is QE, not QT, and we're still in QT. So that's just my opinion. I think we're about to get the flip, so maybe hyper concentration could be on the table here soon. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. So support down here on FILG, $4. Target would be all the way up at 400. For huge, massive, nearly almost 11,000% gain. That's pretty insane. So the support zone here for this one, 215 all the way up to 690, with the target being just shy of 80 on this one. And again, I picked these big ranges because the price action is, well, it's pretty much within that range. So 3,395%. G-Link, so it does appear to be holding within this bear flag pattern. And again, the bear flag target, if it does actually play out, all the way down here at $7. Just want to point that out to y'all. As of right now, the support is still 1860 to 2140, with the target being up at 220 again at all-time highs. for about 1,145% gain. Because again, you guys got to understand, if you weren't around in 2020, the altcoins are much more violent in price action up and down than Bitcoin. Okay. So to think that the price could just rocket probably maybe within a month or two all the way back to all-time highs and beyond is not that much of a stretch. I mean, again, we were invested in Dogecoin back in those days, and I mean, it took about a full 8 months to play out, but the majority of the move that came on Dogecoin from about 5 cents to 75 cents was within like 30 days. So yeah, extremely violent moves, very short period of time. And, if you're not positioned before then, I mean, you may just have to wait till the next cycle or whenever the next opportunity is. So GSOL here, support down here at 635 with the target up at 80 to 115. And again, we're not fully invested in crypto. We're not 100% all in on crypto, 1,900% gain. We do have a mix of crypto stocks and cash. So again, that comes back to the whole diversification thing, right? So support here for GXLM, $14. The target's going to be all the way up here at 66. We'll just say 70 for about 390% gain. Mana, pretty brutal sell-off here. I am expecting a bounce on this one at some point because you have a lot of red here. Same thing happened with TSLL and a lot of other stuff when we have seen some bounces. So yeah, I'm just going to say worst case scenario all the way down at 150 and then, well, probably somewhere between 150 and 350 on this one. 70 would be the target up here at the all-time highs for about 4,600. Well, we'll just say 4,660%. Zcash, I would be probably looking somewhere between the top of this box, 280 down to the white line at $2 even, with the target being all the way up at 1050. For a pretty monstrous 415% gain. All right. Hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.